Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my extreme pleasure to welcome Libertarian Party Chair Angela McArdle to our meetup here in Montana at the Montana Libertarian Party. And I'll let her start off with a 30-minute elevator pitch or a 30-second elevator pitch. Tell us all about the Libertarian Party in 30 seconds or less.
Thank you so much for having me. I am delighted to chat with some of you guys. I'm curious, have you had your state convention yet?
No, it happens on April 20th.
Got it. Okay. I wish I could be there this time. I am extremely overwhelmed with staff operations in I think a good way. It's a good problem to solve. So I have decided to run for chair again. I'd like to be a two-term chair for a couple of reasons. I think that it's important for us to maintain continuity and stability at the national level, to have successorship, and to finish essentially what we started and make things stable for when it comes time for the next administration. I want to share some accomplishments. I want to share some challenges. I want to share some things that I would do differently if I could going around. But overall, I want to say that although the first term has been really challenging, it's been incredibly rewarding. And I really appreciate everybody who helped to get me here. So I think some of the big picture challenges that we've had are really understanding our purpose internally at the national level. That covers everything from board function, the relationship of the national party to state affiliates, our relationship with our candidates, our relationship with our presidential candidate. Those have been things that I think the LNC, I know this LNC and also probably some LNCs in the past have sort of grappled with, and there's not 100% consensus on it. I think that we've also struggled a little bit to navigate some paradoxes, the main one being that we're working as a political party, right? And some of that means some of us are working within a system that we want to abolish because there are a lot of anarchists in the party. And that can be difficult to navigate and to be successful and functional in when you're not really sure how to approach that, or you might have ideological or even moral issues with the United States government. And, I think another big picture challenge is finding our place externally. What should our goal be? Are we trying to win a presidential election? Are we trying to win a presidential election in 3 cycles? Are we representing a decentralized revolution? Do we want to encourage people to run at the local level and work their way up through systems of governance? Do we want to support candidates? Those are some of the big picture challenges that the LNC has struggled with, and I've tried to lead us on and take, kind of consensus, but also decisive action. I think that our relationship with affiliates should be not strictly top down and not strictly bottom up. I don't think that affiliates should vote on every single thing that we are going to implement, but they do vote to elect us, and to that extent, we are bottom up. I think that we should offer services to affiliates. Voter gravity is something that I think, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, that I think we should offer. I do actually think it's our role to fund candidates, including candidates, outside of the presidential election. I think we should fund candidates that make the party look really good and that are going to be successful, because I think that's good for us and it's good for all the libertarians across the country too. I think that if you're going to be an anarchist in the Libertarian Party, that's fine, but that we need to be able to work together and not frustrate ourselves by saying that, every single thing that's imperfect, is unacceptable. Like, we don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good. So let me talk about some internal challenges that we've had also before I dive into the successes and things I'm really excited about. We have had a lot of interesting struggles. So I'm sure some of you have heard about the technical problems we've had with our CRM. We inherited a massive amount of technical debt. We were essentially running our own CRM and developing it, but we had no software development lifecycle and no institutional memory to go with it. Do we have any software engineers on the call? No, interesting. Usually, oh, one. Okay, yeah. So we had no software development lifecycle, and no memory bank for anything that we were doing. It was quite atrocious. You know what? Let's just like rip the Band-Aid off. This is a small group. Let's just dig right into it. Let me talk about some of the things I've been doing. You know, in addition to being chair, I've stepped in as executive director in August of last year. I do that for free with no pay. And staff was really gridlocked and struggling over the CRM problem. We had a migration from one database to another, and it failed. We didn't migrate over all of our data. We lost a significant amount of monthly recurring revenue. And there was a big fight over how much we lost. But, you know, I was able to just look and say, it's quite a bit. Because I could see the amount dropping off every month. So staff got more and more frustrated. We couldn't really move off of it. The LNC had foolishly voted to support a particular type of software that our staff was supposed to use at the national level, which is a very bad idea. So I stepped in as executive director and started pulling things out. And I said, we're going to do a 90-day turnaround with revenue. We're going to completely double our revenue in 90 days. And we did. We went from a low point of $75,000 in a month to 125 in 90 days. So that was very good. But there were so many problems that had to be fixed. So in operations, we have some bad accounting practices. We have an audit coming up that has to be done by convention. And there's been rumors, oh, maybe it won't be done. It'll be done. And I think it'll be okay. But one of the things that I've discovered as I've helped staff kind of dig for receipts and, you know, kind of figure things out. And by the way, I stay mostly hands off of it as chair. But I don't have to be 100% hands off. You know, it's okay for me to have a little bit of oversight, but I don't put my thumb on the scale, right? But I've found that we don't really have good accounting practices. They're not atrocious in every respect, but it was very sloppy. And you know, there was a recommendation 8 years ago that we changed some of our accounting practices, and it was just swept under the rug. It never happened. I dug it up in some old staff reports and audit reports and recommendations. There was poor oversight over operations. We had no password management. We had accounts linked to former staff members. We had expensive vendors. We had financial waste, boxes and boxes and boxes of letterhead, old, ugly letterhead I threw away at the national HQ last month. No project management software, no project management system, no marketing plan, no marketing funnels, no new membership funnels outside of the POTUS election, no fundraising plan. No plan. The only fundraising plan was to call and say thank you to people who'd already donated. Poor broken data on our fundraising, poor institutional memory, no documentation of FEC data compilation processes, no Google AdWords. When I called recently, I had a consultant do a fundraising audit for us that's almost done, and a marketing audit. And he asked me where my Google AdWords were, and I said, we can't find it. You know, it was linked to an old staffer's account and the numbers lost, and he laughed at me. And I was like, well, you know, that's okay. We'll live and we'll learn. But these are the challenges that I inherited. Sorry, there's a car alarm going off. And it can't be pointed at just any one person, right? It's not like I can just point and say that guy right there who came before me, he's the bad guy. This is a deep institutional problem, and I can track it back through reporting and different problems and little tips for at least 8 years. It's definitely part of why we haven't been more successful at the national level, why you haven't seen membership numbers like they were in the 90s. And any small amount of pressure on a system that was this broken and fragile was bound to snap. And it did snap a little bit because our national membership numbers are down. But the good news is now that we've had some time to do all of this work, things are turning around. So the first thing I did was I jumped in and I spent, you know, a good like 30 to 60 days just on operations, clean up operations. And the next we jumped to fundraising. I said, we've got to turn it around. We've got to have lots more people making phone calls. I want phone calls, phone calls, phone calls. I do all of the thank you donor calls, and I reach out to prospective major donors, and we have staff and contractors calling people to get them to renew, to remind them to donate, you know, trying to follow leads, all that good stuff. So we really worked on fundraising, cleaned that up, made sure that people had proper fundraising scripts, and made sure we were looking over the data, you know, like what do people not like to hear? Turns out people do want to hear from us. But they would like to hear updates, and they would like to hear from us more often than once every 3 to 5 years. So we've been trying to do a better job of membership management and taking care of our members, in addition to just asking people for money. After that, we dug back into operations a little bit more and IT. We had the big IT fight at the end of last year where we, at the national level, kicked out CiviCRM. People have asked, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to leave all the affiliates, out in the cold and they won't have a CRM? Certainly not. What that means is that my national staff will no longer have to spend all day fixing something that doesn't work for them. That means that their operations are moving to a CRM called Zoho, which is very affordable, by the way, and they won't have to spend time all day fixing something that's broken. For example, Drew, who is a fantastic employee, wrote a really great email one time, and he put this cute little emoji in it. It was a smiley face, I think, in the title of it, and it broke the CRM, and it was broken for 4 hours because he put an emoji in an email. Out of control. So that won't happen anymore, which means we can actually spend more time doing what we should be doing. And that includes fixing that they're different and lesser elements of CiviCRM that our state affiliates are still relying on. Now, it's my wish that in the future, our affiliates will move off of that. But I've said that we're not going to touch that for at least 2 years because we don't want to be disruptive. We want to make sure that everybody has a path forward that's comfortable for them. And certainly that it's financially doable. Now, Zoho is between $30 and $95 a month at the smaller end of things. So there are some affiliates who have decided to jump with us. And Eric Fowler is the chair of the IS committee. He is the one that picked out Zoho. And we all vetted it. And, I sat on calls with them too. But we did really empower the IS committee to make a recommendation. And so far, I'm very happy with what they've chosen. And that migration will be done at the end of this month. And right after we get our new CRM, we are getting a new website. Now, I don't care that much about government regulations and compliance and all that. But did you know that if you go to lp.org right now, it is not ADA compliant for people who are slightly visually impaired. There's too much yellow. It's like blindingly yellow. So we have a new website coming by a very skilled graphic designer, and it's going to look really nice. And it'll be stripped down so there's less information on it. And what we're doing is we're taking all the resource stuff and putting that on another website called lpaction.org. And that's where you're going to be able to find our branding guides, our style guides, templates and things for candidates to use, resources, more information about all of our elected officials. Anything that a member really wants to know, it's going to go there. And we'll certainly link to it on lp.org, but we will be cleaning that up. What else? What else is about to come out? A candidate template website. I have been promising this for 4 months. I'm so sorry that took so long. Staff was extremely overwhelmed, and so I had to just take this right off of their plates and put it with another contractor. But we have a template website that any of our candidates can purchase. So when I became chair, I said, why aren't we giving our candidates free websites? And I was told, well, we can't do that because FEC compliance, this, that, and the other. And I said, what if we charge them $5? And I got, well, something excuses. So here it is, finally. We don't have to worry about FEC compliance because I'll just charge a small nominal fee and you get a beautiful, like $1,000 worth website for your candidates. That means they just download it. They plug in their photo, right? They stand it up, they get it connected to their server, and it's theirs. Done. You don't have to use a GoDaddy website builder and have a website that looks like it was built by a 5-year-old, or me, because I'm not very good at it either. You can have a professional website. The other thing that'll come right after that is template door knocking materials. So same thing like the website, you can download, it'll be either Photoshop or Canva. So if you have Photoshop and you're semi good at that, great, you can use that. But if you're not, if you're like, Angela, I don't know how to use any of that stuff, I have a picture of myself and like 3 lines, perfect. You will open up the Canva template and it's very self-explanatory. You can pop your photo in, you can pop your campaign slogan in, download it and print it. One and done. Candidate support is super important. Another thing that we've got that's really important for candidates right now is we have twice a month calls with our political director, Nathan Patel. And I know that Sid has been on one of these calls before. We've gotten we've gotten sort of like used to each other now, and he's gotten a good idea of where we're at. So our next call, I believe, is the 27th. It's the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. And he has worked out a game plan to help us specifically understand how to gain volunteers outside of our already pre-existing small volunteer base and be effective when we're campaigning. He's very good at volunteer curation and management, and it's something that we desperately need in this party. We get so burned out. So that's something to have. Nathan Fatal will also be doing in-person candidate training at the national convention. There is like I believe it's a 6-hour training. It might be 5.5 hours, but you get a break in the middle of it. But I highly recommend that on Thursday. He's been with the Leadership Institute for a long time. He's run some successful campaigns. He worked with me in LA to help overturn the vaccine mandates. He's a very skilled, talented individual. Oh, let me catch my breath. What else have we got? Voter gravity. Voter gravity is something that I feel like I did a live stream about this the other day, and I kind of like autistically mentioned voter gravity over and over again for about 5 minutes in a very awkward way because I wanted everybody to remember it and have it sink in. Voter gravity is a campaign management and door knocking tool that is like having a little campaign manager in your pocket, and it will generate smart walk lists for you, and it will help you keep track of all of the information that you use when you're campaigning. And it is normally extremely expensive, and you can get it for as little as $50 a month, depending on what your election is, where your district is, the size of it, through the discount that we got. It's a steal, and it is a complete game changer. It puts you on the same playing field as major Republican and Democrat candidates when it comes to campaign management. I highly recommend that anybody and everybody who's serious about it get it. And if you are not sure if you're serious about it, you should be fundraising and making at least $50 a month, because that is your number one job as a candidate, to fundraise. Please get voter gravity. You can email votergravity@lp.org for approval. That goes in my inbox, it goes in the candidate support committee's inbox, and it goes in the vice chair's inbox. We see those and we shoot it right off to Chris at Voter Gravity. He is the guy who manages that program for us, the Libertarian Party's program. And we say, this person's authorized, please sign them up. And he'll get you your information, you sign up, you pay a special discounted rate. Very, very important. Very important. Now, the next thing that I have planned, which I have not launched yet, and it remains to be seen whether I'll be able to pull this off before May. Probably not. This would be the first thing that I do, probably right after my election, is fundraising boot camp. I think you said we need to learn how to fundraise. We, as a party in general, tend to have a poverty activist mindset, and it's very unhealthy, especially considering how most of us are very economically literate. We need to do a better job of understanding our worth, the value that we could potentially bring, and learning how to target other people who have money to give us. And that's not our starving activist friends, although we love and appreciate them so much. So we are going to be doing fundraising boot camp for our serious candidates. And I want to put some candidates who aren't sure if they're serious in this and see if we can turn that corner. Because I think that we are so frightened sometimes of making calls to ask people to donate that it really hinders us. And I think that if some of us can get over that hurdle, we're going to start to see major changes in development and the success of the party. So those are some candidate related things. Let me think about what else. We've had some really good coalition work under my leadership. We had the Rage Against the War Machine rally, and we've planned a sequel for that in September. We'll see if we can pull that off. We have been supporting Defend the Guard work in Idaho and Tennessee and Texas and Arizona. And I want to continue to do that. I think it's really important to have left and right coalitions. And I'm so excited to see that people on the right are supporting Defend the Guard. The other thing that we've had is LP Masterclass. We've been holding online classes for our candidates and activists leading up to the national convention. It's not like that's going to be the only training. We've had some really good trainings online with Nathan Fatal, Brian McWilliams, our PR director, and a handful of other people. So many things. I'm trying to just remember them off the top of my head and look at a little list. And I think one of the things, that I'm most proud of is that we've been correct. We've been correct on really difficult topics. We were correct on the war in Ukraine, that the United States shouldn't be involved. And it was like a wildly unpopular position. And we just came out swinging right out of the gate. And now look at what's happened. Most people in the mainstream are starting to agree with us. It took them like a year to get there, but they're like, yeah, you're right. We should probably be encouraging these people to work out their differences. And I'm really glad that the Libertarian Party stood on the right side of history for that. And we're going to stand on the right side of history for US, backing of Israel's interventions in Gaza too. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable to see that we're on the same side as like screeching progressive activists in universities, but a broken clock is right twice a day, and they're right that the United States military shouldn't be funding Israel to blow up kids in churches. It's just wrong. And I'm really proud of that. And I'm not confident that that would have happened, that either of those, that the LP would have had a strong stand on it if it had been under former administrations. So yeah, I want to finish the awesome things that I've started. It has been really challenging and more slow moving to get all of these things across the finish line through the bureaucratic process. And I don't say that to disparage any of my fellow LNC members. Everybody's learning, everybody's trying to understand, and they have learned, I think, quite a bit, how to move these things through quickly, how to not meddle and micromanage, what is the role of a committee? Is a committee, promising more than it should be? Who's an effective leader? Effective activists do not always make effective leaders. Who has good judgment just in general, who understands board governance. Like, it's been quite an experience to try to move all of this stuff across the finish line while also navigating that and navigating, like a massive onslaught of hate attacks and mailers and mass book campaigns and sabotage from former staff members. But if we can be this successful in spite of a failing, flimsy infrastructure, and in spite of hate attacks, in spite of like the world being on the brink of, nuclear war and being worried about that and inflation and, economic downturn, I think we could be really successful going into the presidential election. And, I'm just extremely optimistic. I'm extremely optimistic about the potential and possibilities that exist between now and the November election in 2024. We are going to be kingmakers in this election. I'm already hearing from rumblings in the Trump, he's a tramp, in the Trump and Biden administration. They're trying to get our votes. They're talking about freeing Julian Assange. They're talking about freeing Ross Ulbricht. And the reason they're doing it is because they want libertarians to vote for them. So this is an incredible moment in history. Don't get bogged down by all the negativity, don't pay attention to the naysaying. I think we're on the right track, and I think we're about to do something really amazing. I'm going to be really excited to share the results of our fundraising and marketing audit with our affiliates once it's finished, so that you all can learn from our mistakes and our corrections and things as well. Because this is a team effort, and everything that I do at the national level should benefit you guys as well. And that's really what I want to be here for, is I want to, serve. I want to be the leader with the servant's heart. I want to serve you, and I want to help advance liberty, in a radical but also very practical way. And thanks for letting me chat with you tonight. Do you have any questions?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to stick in with the one you just mentioned about defend the guard. What's the one state didn't one state pass it already? Was it Louisiana?
The Texas legislature just passed a particular, I don't know if it passed the House.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, I don't know if it passed the Senate. I think it just passed the House in Texas.
Okay, because I thought I heard or read somewhere that it did pass both, but I guess not yet.
It could have, but when I checked, I thought it didn't, but it could have passed since.
Okay, if
Louis?
nobody else has any, I got a couple.
Yeah, real.
Go ahead, Louis.
Dave, there's a couple of people that have their hands
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
in the
Yep,
app.
go ahead.
Real quick, Angela, it is votergravity@lp.org to get that info.
Yeah, that'll go straight to my
Okay.
inbox.
And are those resources available to not just national candidates, but statewide candidates as
Oh
well?
yeah, state, local, whatever. So the way that it works is, because I know that you guys in particular in Montana have had issues with like crazy people running who are not actually libertarians, is I will check with Sid and be like, is this person okay? And if there was some
Sure.
controversy, so for example, there's states where there's like conflict between the leadership and the members, I do like a second check to make sure no one gets blocked just because it's like, well, I hate that guy. But we do want to check to make sure that they're actually like a member in good standing.
Sure. And we have, I think, 4 candidates running in Cascade County, all for statewide stuff, some more serious than others. Most definitely. I am not a serious candidate, but we do have a couple that are more serious. And we're actually wanted me to ask about resources from the national level.
100%. We're going to have so much stuff for you. Voter gravity is the most important one. But if they need websites,
Okay.
those should be done in like less than a week now.
Awesome. That answers it.
Marty has a question.
Yeah, I want to applaud your infrastructure work for candidates. That's a fantastic benefit to the whole party. I'm wondering if there's any help along those same lines we can do for affiliates.
Yes. Yes.
An affiliate website in a box would be fantastically helpful. I don't know what the obstacles are to that, but I'd like to hear more.
Okay, so we got an affiliate handbook out of the affiliate support committee. Let me think about how to say this as diplomatically as possible. I like to delegate and not micromanage because I think micromanaging is bad leadership. And occasionally you delegate to the wrong person or the wrong team. And so affiliate support kind of came in last this term. There is an affiliate handbook that was put together by Jacob Bradley in Texas. He's on the affiliate support committee. He did a fantastic job. But affiliate website is coming up along with affiliate literature, templates, all that good stuff. I don't think we're going to be able to squeeze it out before May. But if I get my way and I'm reelected, it'll come in the summer. Dave, did you have a couple more questions?
Yeah, I did. In putting together this Montana Libertarian Party meetup, I have been able to have the 7 major candidates for president, but I also ran across on Ballotpedia, there's 35. Are any of the other past the 7 legitimate candidates that you know of?
I've spoken with a lot of them. Okay, so let me think. When you say so, okay, so we got Lars, Chase, Jacob, Michael Rechtenwald,
right, Matt Termat,
Joshua Smith,
yep,
Charles Ballet, Joe Collins. Did I miss anyone?
Wait a minute, you missed Matt Termat.
Mike Termat. Ooh, sorry,
yeah.
Mike, no offense. That's 8.
And I didn't I didn't get Joe Collins yet.
Joe Collins, and he started out really strong, but I don't know, we'll see.
Is he is he the one out of California?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay. Jacob, let's see.
There are a couple more.
Jacob Hornberger?
Yep, got Jacob.
Joshua Smith, Matt Termat, Chase Oliver, Lars, yep, and yeah, we got all the main ones except what's one you said, Charles?
Charles Ballet. He's from Louisiana.
Yeah. He's Dr. Charles. And no, you mentioned one other one.
There's a couple more, but let's see. Judy, was it Judy?
Let's see. Hang on a second.
Jody. Jody Integrity. Yeah. I don't know if I'd call them serious, but I definitely get emails from them. A lot of emails. Interesting emails.
Interesting emails. Let me see if I can, well, let me start running down. Aaron Avarice, Anthony
No.
Gargan, no, Anthony Gagan,
No.
Gagnon, Bo Lindsay, Charles Ferry, David Saber, David Pucha, David Dunlap, David De Silva, Frederick Klurg, Hugo Garcia, Jason Carroll, John Reinhold, John Stewart, Joshua Anderson, Joshua Rodriguez, Kevin Badis, Kevin Tucker, what great names here, Mario Perlas, Melissa Blondie, Nathan Vout, Ronald Wagner, almost done, Robert Sansone, Russell DeLeon, Sarah Joe Bengi, Seymour Art Lee, Todd Anderson, and Trine Tolliver. None of those?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. One more question off of Ballotpedia or whatever else. As close as I can tell, there are now 35 states where we have ballot access. Is that as close as you can tell? And the other 15, we don't.
Well, so it's sort of an art of phrase, right? We have 35 consistently, and then a bunch of them we remake up every time. So Washington, for example, they only need 1,000 signatures to get on the ballot. It's not,
Okay.
Yeah. And so the only two that are really iffy are Illinois and New York.
Okay.
New York is 45,000 signatures in a period of 6 weeks. And if anybody followed the debacle with Larry Sharp and his campaign last time, and no shade at Larry, it's just a nearly impossible feat. The only person who got on the ballot was Diane Sayre, running as an independent for Senate. And I have really cultivated a relationship with her and encouraged them to work with her. So we'll see what happens. I also suggested that they try to use Kennedy just as a stand-in candidate, because that'd be easy to collect signatures on. But they didn't nominate him at this last one. I think they were a little miffed that he didn't show up in person. He sent people though. So Illinois is 35,000 signatures, which is also a crazy amount, but it's not in a 6-week period. So I'm working on something that I can't announce yet to try to help that. But once I do, I will let you all know. Secret plans. Yes, Liam.
Yeah, do you know if voter gravity could be used for like issue coalitions like Defend the Guard? Because I worked on it pretty closely last year, and I feel like instead of trying to get a bunch of volunteers from around the country to call politicians, like it would be nice to actually have the voters call them. Like if we identified 2 or 3 people on the board and then targeted them.
The states all get an account. I should have mentioned that while Sid was on. The states all get an account. So to what extent you can use it on the state account, I'm not sure, but you should just have Sid reach out and get the state account set up, and then you'll find out.
That's awesome. Sweet.
Angela, yeah, this is Carson, and less of a mechanical question and more guidance as far as fundraising. When you're interacting with an individual at the state level, how do you approach that to try to introduce, trying to get a donation out of them, especially recurring?
A new person or?
No, someone that's taken they've already initiated and approached the MTLP, but then trying to get them to donate, especially in a recurring fashion.
Sure. So At the national level, I encourage people to change their donation to monthly. And then also to donate specifically to a cause that they believe in. So it's like, if you love candidate support, if you could donate $20 a month to candidate support, like you are helping lock it in. You're showing when it comes up, you know, to budget meetings that people are donating for it because they believe in it. And that's like really what we need. You know, and as chair, this has been my passion project too. So if you can support this while supporting all of our candidates, I would be so grateful. Can you help us out? Just like that. But yeah, recurring revenue is so helpful. It's what kept us alive while everything was like, you know, exploding. Liam, did you have a question too? Or is that an artifact?
I don't think he knows how to take his hand down.
Artifact. Any other questions for me?
Yeah, real quick. You said that, you know, in the beginning, and I've been kind of in and out trying to make dinner for kids, but there were several things, you know, winning a presidential election, decentralized revolution, and there were a couple other things that you kind of had to split what you're going to focus on at the national level. I didn't catch if you said we are leaning towards actually, you know, decentralized revolution or trying to actually make, you know, imprint in the presidential election in the next 4 to 8 years, etc. So just kind of wondering about that, where the focus of the national party is going.
I think we need to be split. I think that we need to directly support our candidates. Now, we can't support all of them, but we can support a handful. The ones that, you know, first you have to apply, right? And then you have to get approved. And then, you know, by the candidate support committee and then voted on by the executive committee. I think it's really good. I think it signals to the rest of the party that we believe in what they're doing and we want to support it. And it gives all of our candidates a confidence boost. I think we do need to support the presidential campaign, you know, and ballot access to that extent, because that's what ballot access does. But we need to do that with the understanding that we're all working together. You know, for example, in New Hampshire, there's not much of an appetite to gain ballot access from the state. Now, that's very frustrating to me. But I'm not going to say, well, I guess we'll only have 49 state ballot access, guys, because that's such a bummer to everyone else, like across the country. So, you know, I'm like, you know what? We're going to figure out a way and we're going to do it, even if I have to like bust people in. But when I make commitments like that in the future to have presidential, you know, ballot access, we need to have the states like wanting to meet us halfway there and like work with us. Does that mostly answer? And I think local candidates is part of, you know, taking a decentralized approach.
Sure. Yeah, no, that kind of answers it for sure.
Well, since he signed off, I don't think he'll get a swell head. I really hope that our local boy Sid, I hear you've talked to him a little bit. I hope he's got a good shot because we got to get rid of Tester, and I don't think she's gonna pose much of a threat. Anyway, I can't think of a better thing than to have a senator from Montana get elected. That would just be. Go ahead.
I just recorded a radio ad, and I'm going to see if I can find affordable talk radio, conservative talk radio in Montana to run it on. And it doesn't mention Sid's name, but it says libertarians across the country, so I can run it in multiple places. I won't actually, you know, hit go without talking to Sid on it, but yeah, we want to support him.
Yeah, Marty, isn't KMMS mostly pretty conservative over there?
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's disappointing, I guess, that Rosendale had made some comments that were like kind of anti-Trump, and so he didn't get the endorsement.
Yeah.
So interesting, right? Learning how to play politics with these people. Thomas Massey does the same thing, except he's just like untouchable in his district.
Yeah.
You come out very anti-Trump and he's going to come back at you. And sometimes if you're in a vulnerable position, blows up in your face. That's GOP.
Yeah, I'm afraid Montana is pretty Trump territory.
Totally. It totally is. It's like you just got to know your audience.
Yeah. And I don't know how Tester keeps getting elected.
I don't know.
Well, there was
Because he's one of the last blue dog Democrats.
yeah. There was also he ran an ad up here at one point that had him and Cory Booker together.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's like,
yeah.
that's like cancer to Montana. They don't want
I know.
Booker up there.
Yeah, if you ever want a good laugh, it's on YouTube, still on YouTube. Look up Cory Booker and Tester. They run around tackling each other.
Oh, it's like the male version of Elizabeth Warren saying, "I also drink beer."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I should say he comes off as a blue dog Democrat, actually, because he's the 7-finger dirt farmer from Montana. So
right. But he doesn't come across as an unhinged progressive activist. So
no,
correct.
Vote for him.
But that's how his opponent, his Republican opponent, is portraying him. Is that he votes with Biden every chance he gets, which he does.
Right, of course. Well, sucks to be both of them. We're gonna mess up their race, and they're gonna have to do better.
I can't think of a better legacy for Montana than to elect Sid. That would be just so great.
Yep.
And I think I hope I may be smoking the drapes, but I contribute to his campaign because I think he does have a chance.
Totally.
Yeah. I'd love to see it happen.
Any more questions for me before I hop off?
Doesn't look like it.
Well, we sure appreciate your time coming here. I, for one, have been very happy with the outreach and the social media interactions. So the vibe of the party has, I think, gotten a lot better. I think it's consistent, and I think that that's a real strong foundation to bring people locally to. So I appreciate that, and I really appreciate you coming and talking to us today.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you
much
for having
appreciated.
And Nicholas long may he rest. No, I am truly I'm a Dave Smith fan. He brought me into the party, and
nice.
I'm totally happy with the Mises Caucus sort of takeover of the party. And Angela, from all I can tell, you are doing an incredible job. And I truly thank you for joining us tonight. This has been a wonderful thing. And as I tell everybody else, we try to get these up on YouTube. Melissa does a great job of getting them up there. She's a little behind right now, but and unfortunately, somewhere along the line, my thumb hit the wrong button, and I lost Mr. Reckenwald's visit. But I've been getting all the other ones up on YouTube. We're slow but sure getting them up there, and we will definitely make sure this one gets up there. Again, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a great education for me, and I hope everybody else has benefited from it as well. Thank you.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.